Welcome to the second episode of Crossbody Corrections. My name is Evan,
I am Javier.
and this is our show where we go back and look at historic mistakes in wrestling booking history, and we fix them because we're smart and have hindsight. This week, Nexus. We all know Nexus, the little scrappy group of NXT Season 1 rookies who decided to show up and beat the shit out of everyone. They choked Justin Roberts. I think he died. Who knows? And
They
then
beat up Cena. They beat up Punk.
They ran Raw for a number of weeks and things were going pretty well for them. All the way up until SummerSlam of 2011, where they, check notes, lost
2010.
to 2010. My apologies. They lost to John Cena.
Yeah.
Did that kill the group's momentum? Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so. So we're going to fix it. We have tasked ourselves to fantasy book and fully correct Nexus's booking in WWE. So I think, are said that we will go to SummerSlam. So everything up, like you can change some things around the edges, but SummerSlam will still happen in some capacity where you have some sort of Nexus versus WWE thing. And then from there, the world is our oyster. However we want the booking to play out. If you want CM Punk to be part of the new Nexus, if you want David Otunga to win the world title, it doesn't matter. You can book it. Now, we do this where we have the ability to choose who goes first and second based on our appearance by the draft dime. Javier is going to flip it. I'm going to call it in the air. We'll see who goes first and who goes second. Heads.
It is heads.
All right.
But it was heads.
I'm going to go first, mainly because I feel like I'm on a roll already.
Oh,
So,
okay.
I'm not. This is a little peek behind the curtain for any of our viewers. As we were getting started, Javier said he'd spent like an hour and a half planning his corrections.
Yeah, it was a long time.
I, for reference, was figuring out what I wanted my corrections to be in between games of Blitz the League on the PlayStation 2. So our priorities were the same.
You just had better things to do with your time.
I did. I broke somebody's spine. It was so funny.
Oh, dear God.
Go play Blitz the League. Great game.
Evan, tell me, did you go with the same strategy as last time where you just redid it entirely, or did you just trim around the edges?
I think I trimmed around the edges and I got rid of what I think are the bad parts of the Nexus storyline, which is everything post SummerSlam. The core is bad. The core was a bad time. New Nexus had some potential, but I don't think CM Punk or John Cena really need to be involved that much. I think there's a couple key things that were wrong with the Nexus thing. One, don't lose at SummerSlam. That's good night, folks. Like, I think I solved it. Like, as long as they don't lose at SummerSlam, I think we're in a much better place. And two, Wade Barrett needs the WWE title. Those are the two things that I think would solidify Barrett and the Nexus in the eyes of people. So how do we get there? Well, let's talk about the debut. Keep it. It's all great. It's all wonderful.
I agree with you.
Don't fire Daniel Bryan / suspend Daniel Bryan. Don't do that. It's fine. Give him a little bit of a heads up ahead of time of like, hey, here are things you can't do. Don't choke Justin Roberts and spit on him. And Daniel Bryan will say, okay. And that way we get an 8-on-8. The Nexus is full. They are 8 people. How does it become 8-on-8 if Daniel Bryan's not the surprise person at SummerSlam? I don't know. Put Crime Time on the team. They're cool. They're babyface. Everyone likes Crime Time. You know you like Crime Time, right? You love Crime Time.
Wait, so you replace one guy with 2?
Well, no, because then it'll be 8. So instead of it being 7-on-7, it's 8-on-8.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
The surviving members for Nexus are Wade Barrett and Daniel Bryan. This is great. These are good things. Barrett gets a WWE title shot that he's from winning NXT Season 1. Instead of using it in a 6-pack challenge, why would that be your title shot? This is bad things from history. Instead, he gets Sheamus one-on-one at Night of Champions and wins with Nexus assistance. Of course, he's a heel. He gets Nexus to assist him in all of the shenanigans. On the same show, Daniel Bryan, this time still in Nexus, continues also beats the Miz for the US title. That's still a thing that happens. People are impressed with Daniel Bryan's wrestling skill. Go figure. The whole little thing that happens in this area where Michael Tarver gets exiled and released, that's fine. That can still happen. I don't want to book around it because it was a real life. He had a nagging groin injury. So he should, whatever. You
He
can
also
show that
wasn't very good.
yeah, you can show that Barrett's brutal and he can get kicked out of the group that way. That's fine. For a while, the group runs the show. Barrett has the WWE title. Bryan has the US title. Justin Gabriel and Heath Slater win the tag titles at Hell in a Cell. And those two are really fun. I think they could be a really good babyface team down the line. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. When it comes to a group storyline like this, eventually you're going to have the group disband. And in the
Yeah.
process of disbanding, some people are going to have to turn their allegiance, whether they're face or heel. So with this big heel group, we have to identify people who are going to become babyface at the end of it. And those people are Daniel Bryan, Justin Gabriel, and Heath Slater. Those are going to be the three who turn face. Everybody
Average
else,
height of 5'8".
that's right. It's the fucking Lord of the Rings here. Those are the hobbits, and they're the baby
Oh my god!
faces.
If they become a trio, can they just be called the Shire?
They can be called the Shire. So here's what happens: is Barrett is running Raw. He has the WWE title. There's no new Nexus. There's no John Cena's going to get fired. Whatever. None of that happens. But he consistently is trying to avoid having title matches. He keeps trying to put in things where like people can only challenge once. So if he has a match at Armageddon, it's against, you get one shot of the WWE title. Nexus interference doesn't matter. You don't get another shot. He does get one defense against Cena. He wins with immense Nexus interference. Like they are throwing, like John Cena can't overcome. He gets bullied around by the fact that there's 7 other guys, right? Meanwhile, Daniel Bryan is winning matches relatively clean and in impressive fashion. He's not using a lot of Nexus interference. He's telling guys like, hey, no, like don't come out. Like I'm good. Barrett eventually sends out Darren Young and Skip Sheffield in January during a defense against Sheamus, and they accidentally cost Daniel Bryan the title because of their interference. Accidentally cost him because of their help. So already the seeds of dissension are there. Barrett holds the title all the way until Royal Rumble 2011. He loses it at the Rumble in 2011 to Randy Orton, because that sounds nice. And Randy Orton's a babyface. That means he will eventually not be in the Elimination Chamber match. He instead will have the elimination. So let me explain. Barrett has it till the Rumble. He loses because of Bryan interfering. Bryan turns face at the Rumble by interfering and ruining things for Barrett. Orton gets cashed in on immediately by The Miz. So we still are getting Miz versus John Cena at WrestleMania. I'm not fixing it. It's whatever. That's another episode. That'll be later. Orton then has the Elimination Chamber shot at Miz instead of Jerry Lawler, because I don't want to book Jerry Lawler or anything because of health. While Bryan and Barrett are in the chamber together. So they both have a shot at getting the WWE title shot for WrestleMania. I have to kick somebody out of that Elimination Chamber then. Sorry to Mr. Ron the Truth Killings. You don't get to be in it anymore. I know. It made me sad too. Bryan eliminates Barrett, and of course in classic heel fashion, Barrett beats the shit out of Bryan, causing him to be eliminated as well. We get John Cena winning. He will go on to face Miz at WrestleMania 27. The timeline is intact. At WrestleMania 27, we get 2 main matches to come out of the Nexus feud. We get Bryan versus Barrett one-on-one, and we get Gabriel and Slater now fully face. People have really responded to their wrestling style. They stopped challenging the heel. They've kind of run through all the babyface teams already, and now they're challenging heel teams. They go up against, and this is ugly, Skip Sheffield and Darren Young. This can be on the pre-show. That's fine. I have no problem with this being on the pre-show. And honestly, I'd have Gabriel and Slater retain. They can lose to Kane and Big Show in London in a couple weeks if that's what you want still, because that is what happened in real life. Or, they can go on and have a babyface run and lose to someone else later on. I know Kane and Big Show would lose them to Air Boom, and I kind of want that to continue because Kofi and Evan Bourne were awesome. I'd have Barrett win at WrestleMania over Bryan. I think it's the right thing. I think he'd use the elbow. I think it would be the right thing to do. This gets rid of Bryan having his dark match against Sheamus at 27. Instead, this can lead to we can still get everything that we get with Bryan down the line. But again, this leads to people saying, wow, they're putting down Bryan. He's this excellent wrestling superstar. And they pushed Wade Barrett instead. Plus, Barrett is now a WWE champion who's held the title for multiple months and is a established main event guy. Bryan is a babyface. You can turn him heel because he has so much more fun when he's heel. Turn him heel during the year. That's fine. You can have him beat a little shithead with AJ Lee. That's still great. You've established 2 tag teams. Are Sheffield and Young long for this world as a tag team? No, probably not. Skip Sheffield has to become Ryback at some point. If you're wondering where David Otunga is during all this, he's there. I have nothing for him to do. He's loyal to Barrett. That's kind of how the battle lines are drawn. So it ends up with Bryan,
So
Gabriel,
fucked.
and Slater as babyfaces, and everybody else as heels. I really didn't want to go too far and too crazy. I made the timeline realign for the most part,
Yeah,
but
screw the timeline.
I think that this is a just way to do this. Barrett is the WWE champion for a while. He gets his comeuppance. He loses the title. Like, all that's fine. And we end up with still, it leads to once in a lifetime, twice in a lifetime. All that still is kept intact down the line. But we get 2 main eventers in Bryan and Barrett out of this.
I like it.
Yeah.
Don't love it, but I like it.
I think it's a lot more logical than my last one. How about that?
It is. And I like it. I just think that you went a little too tame. Like
Okay.
there's a fine line between changing it and like there are some things you just have to change a lot.
Mhm.
Like I think that Roman winning the Rumble, my route was simple but effective because there isn't a whole lot that you really needed to do. You just kind of had to tweak around the edges a little bit. I think with the Nexus stuff, you have to like burn it and reset.
See, I'm of the opinion that I think the
And
Nexus
especially
stuff
that
just at
time
the
period.
edges, like the Netflix Nexus stuff had it was on a good trajectory literally till SummerSlam, and then they lost the plot and had no idea what to do. I don't think everything needs to be this crazy and wild, right? I think all of groups end up, especially groups of this size, end up with dissension. I think identifying Bryan as a future star is a good idea. I think there's a very obvious story of Bryan being the best wrestler in the group and that getting under Barrett's skin. He has that natural spot. I think I really like Gabriel and Slater. I think they make a
Yeah.
good tag team. I think eventually, like Gabriel can be upper mid Carter coming out of that team as well. Like Slater is going to continue to team with a bunch of people. I still want 3-man band, so
I still want Slater to have the exact same career he had.
he got kids, man.
He got
But no,
kids, man.
and I wanted to make it so we don't have to end up with like changing WrestleMania too drastically. This gets rid of the core in its entirety, and I think that's
Yep.
great. Yeah. All right. I cede the floor. The people have heard mine. What do you got?
I took all of the trajectories and I changed them. I'm just going to
Okay.
spoil it right now. WrestleMania main event is not going to be Miz against John Cena.
Okay.
No shot. The Miz is just completely excommunicated from my thing. He has the Money in the Bank title, but he is Damian Priest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he is Damian. We put him off to the side. We acknowledge he has the briefcase, but we do nothing about it.
Okay.
We start, everything can stay the same, even Bryan getting fired, coming back, all that stuff, because honestly I do feel like that kind of helps Daniel Bryan in the long run as far
Okay.
as like his story, because it kind of gets a little bit of sympathy going for him early on, especially amongst the hardcore fans, obviously.
Yeah.
We do that, we go to SummerSlam 2010. In that show, there is a handicap match with the Big Show against the Straight Edge Society. Same result. Big Show wins. After the match, Punk snaps, breaks the group up, all this stuff goes away.
Okay.
In the show, we also have Kane versus Rey Mysterio, which I think might be a rematch of a cash-in for the World Heavyweight
Yes.
title.
Yes.
Kane is champion, so obviously the cash-in had already happened. We disregard that. And Kane may walk in there as champion, but Rey's walking out with the title.
Okay.
Because 2 reasons. 1, I want the title on Rey. And 2, I don't want that Kane Undertaker feud from 2010.
That's a real answer.
That is bad. That was not good. Everything about it sucked. Everything can go the same route with the main event. The only thing I would change is 2 things. Like you did, I want or instead of Bryan, replacing Gabriel. I want David Otunga to replace Gabriel as the last person with Barrett.
Okay.
Literally, the match can stay exactly the same. I don't care about the results. It can go the exact same way, except or sorry, I don't care about the elimination patterns or any of
Yeah.
that. It can go the exact same way, except for instead of Otunga getting eliminated by Bryan, it's Gabriel that gets eliminated by Bryan. Bryan gets taken out. We do the same thing. We expose the concrete. We drop Cena on it. We do all that jazz.
Yep.
Except after the concrete spot, instead of Cena firing up and somehow coming back in an FU and doing the whole deal, we get him back in the ring, wasteland. Whatever finisher Otunga has, he can hit that too. Another wasteland. So we really send the message here that Cena's done. 1, 2, 3. Barrett wins the match. Otunga's there with him. All that jazz.
For $1,000, could you name David Otunga's finisher?
No. It's something to do with law, isn't it? It's like a law-based thing.
So. Okay, keep going.
No, I couldn't even tell you what. Not only could I not name it, I couldn't even tell you what it was. The next night, Nexus are celebrating their win. Barrett says, up next is bringing gold to the group. He says that by this time next week, everyone will know what the Nexus are going to do next. He says, despite the win, there are still improvements to be made. The Nexus is only as strong as its weakest member, and some members are just plain weak. As he finishes talking, Gabriel, Slater, Otunga, and Sheffield turn to Darren Young and Michael Tarver. They beat them down bad. Like,
okay.
Debut beatdown style bad. They get ousted from the group. We never see them again. I don't need to see them again. Darren Young can be repackaged, show up at the primetime players in a year. We don't need to see him again.
Okay. I was going to say, we just lose Darren Young entirely.
Yeah. Michael Tarver, don't need you.
Yeah, that's fine.
He teases replacement. Doesn't say who yet. Doesn't say a timeline, but he teases that more people can join the Nexus. On SmackDown, the dashing ones, Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre, who are the tag team champions at this point, are defending their titles when they get ambushed by Gabriel and Slater. I would say much like the debut of Red Dragon in NXT.
Okay. Yeah.
When they're like in the tag title match and they just pull up on them like that, we can do the exact same thing. After the beatdown, they grab the tag belts, they hold them high, they want those belts. Later in the show, Dolph Ziggler's cutting a promo with Vicky. I believe he had just won against Kofi or something like that at SummerSlam. David Otunga comes out with Skip Sheffield in tow. They confront him. They go back and forth. Ziggler's getting his witty little jabs in there, as Dolph Ziggler does. Sheffield snaps. He lunges. Otunga stops him and then turns and decks Dolph himself. They beat Dolph down. Otunga lifts the IC belt. He wants the IC title.
Are you booking David Otunga to the IC? Okay, yeah, keep going.
In the main event, Ray is having a rematch against Kane. He survives. He wins. After the match, Barrett comes down, confronts Ray one-on-one. The Nexus
we keep doing it.
The Nexus cronies go around the ring, one at each ring post, blah, 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 to prevent Ray from getting out of there. Barrett says he needs Ray's belt. He's offering Ray two choices. Hand it over and the Nexus spares him, or Wade takes it from him by force at Night of Champions. I want Wade Barrett to get the World Heavyweight title. We have to be a little realistic with ourselves here.
You're booking David Otunga to the IC title. I don't think we have to be realistic at all.
All right, man. We act like the IC title had any value in 2011, 2010. Like, what are we doing here?
I'm pretty sure Ezekiel Jackson gets it soon. So, yeah, you're right.
Exactly. I'm pretty sure you already had it.
David Otunga's finishing move is called The Verdict, and it's a spine buster.
Kind of like that.
I like that.
At Night of Champions, Gabriel and Slater beat Rhodes and McIntyre clean. They win the titles. Otunga beats Ziggler with interference by Sheffield. Notably, Otunga gets hit with a zigzag, and Sheffield pulls him out before Dolph can go for the pin. But he doesn't ever really get physical in the match. Like he doesn't hit Dolph, none of that. Otunga hits the Verdict, wins the IC title. In the World Heavyweight title match, Barrett absolutely obliterates Ray. I'm talking like meshes him up, like Brock versus Cena type
Okay.
squashes here.
Yep.
It has to be bad. He needs to show that he is a brutal heel, and that's when he debuts the bull hammer elbow. 1, 2, 3. He wins a title. The Nexus all have gold except for Skip Sheffield, but we will get to that later. In the main event can stay the same. As far, sorry, whoa, where am I? Yeah, the main event of the match is that 6-pack challenge.
Yeah.
That could stay the same because the Nexus has no involvement in it. Just, I don't know, replace Barrett with like Kofi or something.
Cool.
The next night, they all come out. Barrett's bragging about calling his shot. He lifts the title, all this stuff. They're on Raw, by the way. Notice they're just floating shows. They don't give a crap about this brand split type deal. They say that they're all champions except for Skip Sheffield, who has the best honor of them all. He's the enforcer of the Nexus. He really talks him up. This is obviously gaslighting because Sheffield is Ryback. He's not exactly the most intelligent human being in the world. Shoot, or kayfabe.
Yeah.
He says that he's the glue of the group and that nothing, not even a title, is more important than that. Again, he's obviously gaslighting him. He doesn't have a title, and he's not going after one because we don't want him to take Bryan's U.S. title off of him. Cena comes out to confront Barrett for the first time since SummerSlam. He gives him his props for putting a hell of a beating on him for winning a title.
Fine speech.
But he says he can't let it slide. He challenges Barrett for the World Heavyweight title in a Hell in a Cell match at Hell in a Cell. Barrett says Cena is the only member of the roster that he will never extend an invite to join the Nexus. Cena is the example. He's the top guy, the big star everyone loves. The Nexus isn't here to be loved or to gain fame. They're the boys in here to reset the WWE. Taking out Cena is the next step. He accepts Cena's challenge. At Hell in a Cell, everyone gets a rematch. Slater retained against the Dashing Ones. Otunga beats Dolph again, so on and so forth. In the main event, Barrett and Cena have an absolute war inside the chamber. This is not a technical match in any capacity. This is brutal. This is chairs, tables, freaking sledgehammers, chains, whatever the hell they can get in there. It's personal. It's hate fueled towards the end of the match. Cena's about to drop a stair, one of the steps on Barrett when a masked man shows up from under the ring, fully covered, shiesty, all that jazz, whatever needs to be put on him. Shows up, hits Cena from behind with a chair. Barrett stands. He puts a shit-eating grin on his face. His message has been received by the person. This person shakes his hand, accepts the offer. They beat down Cena brutally. Chairs, stairs, chains, all that. They start freaking choking him. I don't even know. But in the end, Barrett drops the stairs on Cena. He doesn't actually do it.
He does the
misses,
thing where
but the beauty of cinema or the beauty of wrestling is that they don't actually have to show you the exact angle where you could see that.
That's true.
But in kayfabe, we're supposed to believe he just crushed his head with the staircase. After the match, after Bear pins him right there, 1, 2, 3. After the match, the man takes off his mask. It's CM Punk. The next night, Punk explains he was the voice of the voiceless, but he was silenced. The message of his society was killed. He received an offer to change the industry for the better. So he turns to Wade. He thanks him for giving him his spark back. He says that Cena represented everything wrong with WWE, and in order to move forward, the Nexus has to weed out those who want to degrade themselves for Vince McMahon. At Bragging Rights,
the entire company goes under tomorrow.
At Bragging Rights, it's Team Nexus versus a bunch of random WWE guys. That's how we don't really have title matches. We just do that. It's basically a Survivor's what they did at Bragging Rights. Yeah. Sheamus turned babyface, fought for the WWE team at that point. Nexus wins. Team Nexus wins. He challenges Barrett to a match of Survivor Series. Barrett accepts. Punk is pretty much the voice of the group at this point, but he's kind of like the vice leader. Like he's not the leader because that's Barrett, but he's like right underneath him. Okay. Says they need to take out WWE guys, the ones who fall in line. He looks dead in the camera and he says, Randy Orton, I'm taking you down. I'm taking your WWE championship and I'm taking you out. He does so. Survivor Series. All the Nexus guys retain, including Barrett over Sheamus. Punk beats Orton clean and alone in the main event to win the WWE Championship. Flash forward, because I don't care about the December pay-per-view, to the Rumble. Barrett and Punk, who are both champions. They're both world champions. They're building up Sheffield. He's the only one without a title. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to have you win the Rumble. You're going to come in. You're going to beat everybody. You're going to throw everyone over the top. And then you're just going to give your opportunity to the Nexus, pretty much in saying, like, we're not going to have any challengers. Stuff like that. Like, you know how the heels always do it.
Yeah.
Cena comes out at 27. It shocks everyone, especially Sheffield, who has Otunga with him. They're already in the ring. It's crazy. Cena wins the match. He eliminates Sheffield. He puts him over, though. Give him like a couple minutes to have an exchange back and forth, all that jazz. Pretty much the 2013 Rumble. Like, do that, but...
Is the Rumble still 40 people or just 30 this time?
We're going back to 30. That was kind of dumb.
Okay. Yeah, no. Just double check when you said 27.
Yeah. I just like the number 27. People went from it a lot. In the build to Elimination Chamber, Punk and Barrett have to defend their titles in separate chamber matches, as you do, which they are not happy about. Punk starts to take more of a leader role in the group really lets his opinions be known. He's like starting to make demands and stuff on behalf of the Nexus, which is starting to irk Wade little by little. So there's definitely signs of a power struggle brewing. At Elimination Chamber, they both win. The next night, Cena has to pick who he wants at WrestleMania. Punk steps up, pretty much puts Cena through the ringer as far, like, just absolutely lambasts him. Punk does it better than anyone. You know how it goes. He said he mocks Cena by saying it's funny that Punk holds the WWE Championship that Bruno, Hogan, and Austin held because there's nothing WWE about him. He's got the title that Cena created, the spinner title. And he's putting it in his face, and he's like, come take it. When he does this, Wade Barrett in the background is like, he basically just like looks, he makes the challenge to Cena, but Wade's in the background. He looks up like this, like Roman did when Jay was like, I don't give a damn about the tribal chief.
Yeah.
He's in the background. He looks up like this, and he's staring daggers at Punk. Cena notices it too because he's in front of them, so you can see Wade there. So to stir the pot, he chooses Wade Barrett. Punk is incensed. How dare Cena disrespect him like that? Something needs to be done. Something, blah, blah, blah. The next week, Punk and the Nexus, sans Barrett. Barrett's not there. Beat up and beat down Cena. After the attack, Punk drops the pipe bomb. The one that's famous. Yeah. We all know it. We all love it. He drops the pipe bomb. The crowd is eating it up. At this point, Punk is pretty much organically a full babyface for the fans. It's just how it does. I mean, he was a heel until we just decided he wasn't anymore.
Yeah, that's fair.
When they get to the back, Barrett chastises him for beating down Cena and like not running the plans by him, all this stuff. At WrestleMania, Punk has to defend against Edge. I don't know. It's Edge's last match. We don't know it. He doesn't know it at the time either, but like it just kind of, I don't know, worked out that way. I don't know what the story is. Edge just kind of ended up there. I won't take away that match from him. So there you go. Punk retains. Gabriel and Slater lose their tag titles. Let's say it's to Kane and Big Show. Otunga loses the IC title. Say it's Kofi.
You're doing that to appease me.
Yeah, sure. I don't know. It's just a mid-card baby face.
The most baby face of baby faces, yeah.
Yeah. In the main event, Cena beats Barrett. Punk was notably absent when the Nexus tried running interference. The next night, the show opens with Edge doing his speech, how he has to retire, all this stuff. Closes with Nexus. Barrett is pissed. He's running down everyone. And when he gets to Punk, he stops and stares at the WWE Championship. He says that not only has Punk been undermining his authority, but now he taunts him with the title. Barrett can't put his jealousy to the side. He blasts Punk with his microphone. The Nexus lay a massive beatdown on him. Punk is kicked out of the group. At Extreme Rules, it's booked. Punk versus Barrett for the WWE title. Barrett wins with heavy interference. Punk is beating down bad. So bad that he misses over the limit and capital punishment. 2 pay-per-views where Barrett retains. But he comes back the night after capital punishment. He wants his revenge just in time for Money in the Bank in Chicago. Let the summer of Punk begin.
Okay, I have a couple of questions.
Go ahead.
Let's start with the ending. So, Money in the Bank is now Barrett versus Punk?
Yes.
So, you're taking one of the best matches that we had in the 2010s?
Yes, I am. I don't care.
Okay.
It's about the story.
Let's talk about the story. Let's talk about how the story of the Nexus became the story of CM Punk. And kind of John Cena, but less John Cena, but a lot about the story of CM Punk. When you were like, oh, he's the Vice leader. Have you met CM Punk or seen him?
That's
before?
kind of the whole point.
He'll never be I think it became a very
that's
much
the whole point.
I like the fact that Barrett wins the WWE title. I think that's great. And a world title.
He wins 2.
I think that's
he
great.
main events WrestleMania.
I think that's wonderful. I think somehow, even with that, he's not the main guy.
No, but he is for a very long time. He is, and then the story becomes a power struggle between the two. That Barrett wins, and we build up the next uber babyface of the company, which is CM Punk.
I love that last time we did this, you were like, wow, look at all the changes you made. And then this time I'm looking at you like, wow, look at all the changes you made.
These are changes that needed to be made. This time period of WWE fucking sucked.
I got rid of the triple threat at Royal Rumble 2015. And I thought you were about to explode. You got rid of Money in the Bank, Punk versus Cena. That's unbelievable.
Look, man, some things need to die so others can live.
I do like Punk retiring Edge unintentionally. I think that's very funny.
Yeah,
I think that's. I think that's pretty funny.
We have to get to the Summer of Punk, and it's hard to get to the Summer of Punk with the Nexus existing as it was. So how do we get there? We make the Nexus be the catalyst for the Summer of Punk.
I will just have Punk not be involved with the Nexus at all. Have him have his own storylines, and then but still having the Miz.
The reason we got there was because of the new Nexus, and in my world, the new Nexus doesn't exist. Also, get the Miz. At some point, we need to be realistic with ourselves and say that, yeah, you know what? We all like the Miz. The Miz, as an entity, as a person, as a character, sure, we all like him to a certain extent. We don't want him in the freaking main event of WrestleMania. What was that?
This is Alex Riley slander. You booked David Otunga to win the IC title. All right. It is.
He had to do it.
He had to do it. I also love that for like 6 months, they're like, look at this big idiot, Skip Sheffield. Let's just make, you're pretty. Skip Sheffield is like, I am pretty. And I love that. That is, I think, my favorite part of your whole booking.
As time went, he became a little more Ryback.
I think that's very funny. Your Skip Sheffield is kind of equivalent to when I'm like, all right, I've got David Otunga left over. I don't know what to do with David Otunga. At least you booked Skip Sheffield to almost win the Rumble.
He was the heavy.
David Otunga was just like, I don't know, doing legal disclaimers for my team, I guess. All right. This was another episode of Crossbody Corrections. You should go in the comments. Tell us who had the better rebooking. Me with my inner dissension between Daniel Bryan. Essentially, it's do you want Daniel Bryan and Wade Barrett, or do you want CM Punk and Wade Barrett? Those were the two main story beats.
At this time period, it's definitely CM Punk.
But with hindsight, it's Daniel Bryan. You should also go in the comments and tell us what other things from history we should rebook. One of my notes here was that one thing that happens is that Bret Hart is removed as GM, because that's a real thing that happened when the Nexus came in, and we get this anonymous Raw GM. We'll rebook that another time.
Oh, God.
What a terrible time that was.
William Regal is the new general manager of everything.
And he just knew that his British accent would give it away. Follow us on social media at CrossBodyWork, on Twitter, on Instagram. Be sure to hit like on the video and hit subscribe. Tell us things in the comments and tell us who won this week. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back to fix more mistakes from history soon. We'll talk to you then.
Bye.